A quarter of the population believe their area has become a worse place to live. More people don't really trust their neighbours. That's according to new research published by the centre-right think tank Onward. It's setting up a cross-party review called Repairing Our Social Fabric. The Conservative MP Danny Kruger is one of the politicians taking part. Good morning.
Good morning.
And social fabric, social capital, these are terms beloved of think tanks in the world of politics. But what does it mean in the real world?
Well, what it means is the quality of trust between people who live near each other, and we've seen a real decline in that trust over the last couple of decades. And I think it's driven partly by just our habits. We have longer commutes. We have our entertainment at home. We shop at home. We don't meet so often. But it's also
and pubs have closed.
Well, exactly. It's also because we've lost a lot of the institutions that we used to gather in. A quarter of all pubs in the country have closed since the turn of the century. A quarter of all libraries have closed since the turn of the century. And as I say, this is driven partly by our own habits, but it's also because just the framework of our policy and our tax system doesn't support these institutions sufficiently. So we need what we're doing, and I'm working with a number of MPs across the House and experts from around the country.
Like John Cruddas.
From Labour, who's a hero on this agenda. You know, he represents a East London seat. I represent a rural Wiltshire seat. But we hear the same thing from constituents, that they lament the loss of the gathering places, the institutions and the occasions on which to meet and work together. And the result is a loss of trust. In part, it's, many of us don't know our neighbours, but many of us don't trust our neighbours as well. It's very sad. In the last decade, the number of people who say they don't trust their neighbours has risen from 15% to 25%. That's a very sad statistic.
And is this inevitable, or is there anything that government action can do or that individuals can do?
Yes, there's lots that we can do. Partly it's cultural, partly it's choices. There's lots of good things happening as well. I don't want to present this purely in terms of decline. There's people are coming together to save these local shops and pubs. I was in a pub in my constituency last week, the Dog and Gun in Netheravon, which has been saved by local people.
Sure, they'll love the plug.
Yes, or the Urchfront Community Shop, which was saved 15 years ago by 50 people from this tiny little village outside Devizes on a rota to man their shop and keep it going. It's the heart of the village. So there's good things happening, and people can do that. But if you ask about policy, there's stuff we can do there too. I mean, there's a budget coming up. I hope the Chancellor will cut beer duty to help save local pubs. There's stuff we can do around planning, around business rates. If we actually think that these institutions, these businesses, public and private sector, matter, then government can help them.
And I suppose, in a way, coronavirus is going to be a test of how we behave as a community, how willing people are to help each other or how selfish they become in times of panic.
Yes, we certainly don't need panic. Yes, so our communities are going to be under strain. It's going to be interesting. It might be that people spend more time at home. We hope that doesn't mean pure isolation and staying behind your front door at all times. It might be that actually local communities can revive a little bit as during this strain. And what we do know is that to overcome it, we need communities to work together. We need people to behave well towards each other. So we hope that maybe there'll be some upside to the kind of strange changes that are going to happen in the coming months.
Danny Kruger, thank you for talking to us.